Racing, pacing, chasing guest tonight, Liz Barbaro. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
That's okay, my pleasure.
We had you out at Gawler doing a little bit of the interviews out in the crowd at Gawler Cup Day, so it's really great that we finally got you on the show. Look, we'd love to find out a little bit more about what you do. So your business is Tribal Equine. You're based at Globe Derby. Seems like there's a whole range of things which your business involves with.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell a brief overview what you do?
It just seems to keep expanding by the day sometimes, I think. So we do basically everything and anything to your floats, caravans and trailers.
Yep.
We build indoor stables, etc.
Yep. Yes.
All of that. Anything to do with horses, literally.
And you've been riding all your life?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I also have basically like a re-education program, and I do breaking as well with horses. So
yeah.
So
you competed in shows?
Yeah,
mostly?
Throughout most of my life, on and off throughout the years as things go. We don't always get a consistent run, but yeah, most of my life I've been competing in the show rings. So
do you remember the first time you ever rode a horse? Can you actually remember?
Actually, I do.
Yes.
So we had a big stable complex on the old Golden Grove Road down there called Yarramalong, and I was on the back of my dad's big grey and Misty. And I'm being led. I know, it has to be. If it's a grey, it's got to be Misty.
Yes.
And I'm being led, and there's like my older sister. She's a couple of years older than me, and she's out jumping, and I'm like begging Dad, can I go do that as well?
Yes.
And Dad's going, no, you're too little. Well, later that day, where am I? Out on another one, trying to jump, failed. But it's the best memory because it was with my dad not being around anymore.
Yeah,
it's one of those few things that we can always look at. And,
do you know the first time you fell off? Was it the same day?
Yes, same day. Yeah. Take the good with the bad.
You got back straight back on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the only way to do it.
So I guess we're talking particularly tonight about rehoming racehorses and rehoming standardbreds. Typically, you would get a horse off the track. Is there sort of a time frame that you would sort of say a horse might take to retrain, or what's the first step you do when you get a horse off the track?
Every horse I get, I quite literally pick them up and I just pop them out in a yard for about a week.
Okay.
And I just feed them on cool feed, generally meadow hay.
Yes, yeah. Because obviously when they're in racing condition, they're fed the highly, the best grain you can possibly get. They're really, top condition. Probably sometimes nearly too fit for equestrian riders.
Yeah, I mean for what they're doing, they're spot on with where and what they need to be. But to be able to, work with them to re-educate them to go off to another field, they need to just cool and chill down a bit, which is nothing wrong with that.
So if a racehorse, for example, we're training them to gallop the best they can, a lot of our work goes into their action and how they can actually lengthen their stride. How does that translate to equestrian, and what sort of agility do they need to work on to move into another field?
Still quite similar in many aspects, really. We need, so for me, I have a lot of body work done on the horses in that first 1 to 2 weeks when they come to me. Yeah. From chiropractic work.
So
they've got a loose body, so they're not tight. If they've got any soreness issues, because there's no point in me, starting to work with them if they can't move freely.
Okay.
And then once we get that done, I then move on and we start with, the next step, which is if it's a thoroughbred, looking at, doing some saddle time with them. If it's a standardbred, introducing the saddle.
Yeah, right.
It's very different with both of them.
So is it more challenging to retrain a horse that's already trained in a discipline than actually starting with that blank canvas and breaking
in many ways, yes.
Okay.
Because they come with a history.
Yeah.
They've been trained and they've been very well trained for, maybe it might only be 6 months or a year or 5 years to work in one manner.
Okay. Undo all the bad habits.
Well, I wouldn't call them bad habits.
For the jockeys or the drivers.
I wouldn't say that. But, they've been trained so well to do what they were doing that you've literally got to sort of go, okay, well, forget everything you know.
Yeah.
and now listen to me.
Okay.
And you've got to get their mind and their body in the right spot to be able to do that first.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one of the challenges I see with rehoming racehorses, is that it's not as easy as just giving that horse off.
It's not.
And we think, they're quiet horse, they'll be fine to ride, but it's a different type of riding, isn't it?
It's a very different type. I mean, as a jockey,
as
a jockey, you're sitting up here, you're hovering over the top of them. But as, throughout the other areas of equestrian, we're sitting on their back. We're wrapping our legs around them.
Yes.
And they're things that a lot of the time they've not really known that communication.
Yes.
And, we're not saying, here's the reins, let's go. We're going, no, come back and let's work together.
About
basically.
being collected and using different muscles.
Yeah, it's an entire different thing.
Yeah.
So.
And what about for a rider? So obviously you're very well schooled, you've been riding all your life and riding all different types of horses. For a rider who's perhaps only ridden ponies, what's the difference do you see? And do they need retraining to ride a racehorse?
I have a little bit of a rule. If somebody's only ever ridden ponies, I won't put them on an ex-racehorse.
That's interesting.
Mostly because...
Until you've trained them properly.
And then that rider, I want to have some time between me and that rider with that horse.
Okay, so you'll match up a rider with a horse.
Yeah, I've had quite a few where I've said, okay, come have a few rides, let's do a few lessons, and then I've gone, you and this horse are not suitable together. And it's nothing against the horse or that rider, and then I've said, I think you'd be better off on, something a bit smaller or something without that racing history. Because they're not suited to every rider.
And each horse does have that individual temperament.
Absolutely. Every horse is completely different.
Which is interesting. And do you often find they take time to adjust from being in a stable to being in a paddock environment?
I have some that they can't tolerate being out in a big open yard.
Yeah, see, I find that interesting because we always assume that an animal will be happier.
They have too much anxiety being out in a large open space. So I'll start them in a more confined stable.
It's like
and then move them out.
It's like a footballer who was once king of the leader of the team. Everyone wanted to be with him. Then all of a sudden he's retired. No one sees him anymore. He gets
nobody wants nothing to do with him. They walk past him and don't even acknowledge him.
So they want that attention. They want that everyday contact. And like, why aren't I,
why aren't I special anymore?
Exactly. So that's interesting. It affects mental health. It
does. And some of them, they won't even eat hay for the first, maybe half a week until they get, to the sort of really searching for more food because their racing feeding schedule was very limited hay.
Okay.
So you've got all those issues to work with, and then you've got some that won't load in floats with ease or travel with ease, or when you take them to a tie-up rail, they become very anxious. So
this is a really good model that you're doing here with Travel Equine. It's fantastic. Retraining horses and passing it on. And just talking back on that mental health, tell us a little bit more about the equine therapy that you do. I'm very interested to hear what you do.
Yeah, I do. We also do adult and child equine therapy or animal therapy. So between our collection of very loving animals we have at home, like we've got a pet cow and a goat and rabbits as well and dog, and then the horses. I have a range of clients from children through to adults with different conditions it might be anxiety, PTSD. It might range from disabilities with autism, behavioural disabilities with ADHD. And each of them are also very different in what they want to do and are willing to do in respects of they might say, I want to ride, but they'll never get on a horse.
Okay.
They're too scared to. And that's fine because they find that grounding space in just being around them. They might brush them, lead them around, sit and have their lunch with them.
And they find their own...
Every person, child or adult, finds their own little happy medium of what brings them that grounding that they're after.
Oh wow, that must be very rewarding, but challenging.
It's very challenging, but there's more rewards. I've got to make sure that the horses I use for it are
receptive.
Very. They must be, very in tune to the environment. So I never don't like using the word bomb-proof, but they've got to be pretty close.
Yeah.
They must be, very accepting of different situations that also take place because a child with autism might suddenly start to have an oversensory moment and may not be able to handle the situation, the environment or whatever it is, and might start screaming or throwing things around, which is a common occurrence. And the horse or the pony that I'm using has to accept it.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
So it's taken a long time to get all my animals that I use to that level.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting. I think of probably something being sport even more. So well done.
It's awesome. I love it.
And you also teach students to ride.
Yes.
Do they bring their own horse, or can you teach them on your horses?
Some bring their own. Some are not in financial positions to be able to afford their own or their own equipment. So we completely use everything of mine. I've got some who are from situations where financially they couldn't even afford an entry fee to a competition.
Okay. So sponsoring riders as well at Trial.
We sponsor quite a few riders, and everyone's from different.
And do they have to muck out the stables and earn
No, they've just got to be good souls.
Okay.
So, but we have some that are just part of what we call our tribal family, because they're such a good soul of a rider and a family, and then we have some others who are in financial positions that they could never afford to do something like this. So it varies, what I do.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so how do people look you up?
On Facebook.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. On Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So we're there.
Very good. Well, that's fantastic. It's given a little bit of insight about what you do, and I really love the idea of rehoming racehorses and the standardbreds as well. So congratulations on what you do there.
Thank you.